We've made over 7,562 videos for clients over the past 5 years, ranging from 0 subscribers all the way to Mr. Beast. And here are the most important lessons we've learned on YouTube. The first thing that we've learned is that every YouTube video is not about you. What I mean by this is it's not really about what you want to make, it's about what your viewers want to watch. So it's not really YouTube, it's viewer tube. When starting a channel, it's really easy to just get excited for all the ideas you have and just start making stuff. While that's great to get going, this usually results in content that audiences simply aren't interested in watching. This is because you're still learning the ropes, and the reality is 99% of your ideas are going to suck at this stage because you don't exactly know how YouTube works yet. So what's the solution to this? Well, before coming up with video ideas, you really have to go deep into research inside of your own niche and outside of your own niche. We'll cover more on that later. That build your understanding of what good content on YouTube is. Basically, if your idea isn't backed up by some form of data, don't do it. But before making any videos at all, there's a very important choice that you have to make. And this is going to define your whole channel. And the choice I'm talking about is deciding whether you're going to be an educator or an entertainer. These are the two main categories that basically define all content on YouTube, but there's some sneaky subcategories as well. Educational videos are made up of passive education and active education. Passive education include videos that are served to a viewer passively through the YouTube homepage or suggested tabs. And active education are mostly the how-to videos that people actively search to solve a specific problem. Entertainment is also split between active and passive entertainment. Mr. Beast is the biggest example of active entertainment on YouTube, and it generally goes down the route of the creator being the main protagonist of the story. I did this, I tried this, and so on. Passive entertainment, on the other hand, involves content such as video essays and content that draws you in by opening up a curiosity gap to get you to click. But once you've chosen whether you're going to be an entertainer or an educator, there are only 4 ways you can win at YouTube, so let's break those down. Out of all the clients that we've worked with, it's one or a combination of these 4 ways that have brought in millions of views for their channels. The first way is being the first to do something. But there's a catch. Being the first person to discover a new viral video format is really difficult to do. Usually this requires a deep understanding of YouTube, an in-depth knowledge of the psychology of your audience, and in some cases, exceptional production quality. An easier path to be the first to do something is to simply be the first to do something in your niche. Take Simon Squibb's 30 years of business knowledge in 2 hours and 26 minutes. This wasn't a new idea, it'd been around on YouTube for a while, but he was the first to do it in the business niche. And due to his extensive experience and high quality content, the video took off. And speaking of quality, that leads us on to our second route, which is doing things better than others. Being the first to do something is great, but if you're able to take a high performing idea from someone else in your niche and do it better, whether that be the scripting, production, value or depth of the information and so on, there's a real potential for big views. Now, depending on your niche and who your competition is, this once again could be a really difficult thing to do. But it's why it's so important to do your research, understand who you're up against, and you can learn from the other creators in your niche so that you can identify opportunities. Going back to the Simon Squibb example earlier, Alex Hormozy, another business channel, followed up with his own really high quality video in the same format that didn't do as well as Simon's, but 3.2 million views is still an amazing outlier video that sits within his top 3 videos of all time. But if you're not looking to enter the world of stealing, then your next option for views is to simply be different. Whether you're taking a style of content, say like a daily vlogging style, into the business niche, or a cinematic storytelling style into the fitness niche, modeling your content in a really unique way that separates you from your competition can be a fantastic way to bring in views. This route is actually significantly easier than the first 2 that I mentioned because you don't have to necessarily match the production value of your competition. You just have to come up with a unique way that will make you stand out from that competition. An excellent example of a creator doing this really well is Finzar in the editing niche. His incredibly funny and entertaining style of editing tutorials completely exploded his channel, and his growth hasn't stopped since. Now, as for this final route, this is a route for people who like to move fast, and it can even give you a competitive edge over those well-established creators in your niche. Route 4 is to simply make more content than everyone else. Focusing on sheer volume at first will give you a few advantages. It'll fast track your learning in regards to YouTube, you'll build up a bank of videos quite quickly, you'll be able to put out more content and test ideas before before your higher production competition does, which may mean you're the first to do something. Basically, you'll be filling gaps in the market with speed. But I've got one more secret to share with you about these different pathways to get views. Ideally, if you can combine more than one, you can increase your chances of winning the YouTube game. For example, if you're just starting out and you don't necessarily have a lot of experience and high production quality, then going down the first two routes might be really difficult for you. But being different and doing more, on the other hand, is a serious option for you. But there's a twist. Bear in mind all of these several different pathways to get views, they all mean absolutely nothing if your ideas suck. So let's move on to lesson 4 to go through ideation. We've worked with many of the biggest YouTubers on the planet, and all of them spend hours and hours and hours when it comes to coming up with ideas for videos. That research and ideation process is actually part of what we do at 1 of 10, and it's why the 1 of 10 tool was developed to help fast track finding viral ideas for your channel. When planning videos, there are lots of different routes you can take, but these two are the most effective and the most straightforward ones. The first is through outlier ideation. Outlier videos are overperforming videos across big or small channels, and you can either completely steal their video format and do your own version of it, or you twist it into something slightly different for similar results. An example of stealing would be the Alex Hormozi video stealing Simon Squibb's idea format that I covered earlier. But to see a perfect example of putting a spin on a video idea, let's first of all bring up this legendary YouTube classic, An Entire History of the World, I guess. Now, this video pulled in an insane 174 million views. So this creator, it's Roman Hill, decided to remix it into The Entire History of Formula One, I guess. And I guess he just managed to pull in 1 million views when he didn't even really have that big of a channel. Here we have another format remix by Samuel III, whose second upload pulled in 1.8 million views. It's just insane what this approach can do for your channel. The reason I chose these specific channels is I really wanted to show you that it just doesn't take hundreds of thousands of subscribers and a history of big views to really get a video that takes off. All it takes is the right amount of research and a good idea. But if you don't have hours of time to do this research for your videos, you can use a tool like 1 of 10 to help fast track that research and literally be pulling up viral idea formats in a matter of seconds. So if you're interested, you can click the link in the description and use the code T50 for 50% off today. Now, the next level of ideation goes deeper, and it's one approach that really well-established channels take to come up with unique ideas in their niche. For this, you'll need to understand what we call a viral vector. To understand viral vectors, let's picture an outlier YouTube video as a puzzle, with the different pieces being the reason behind the video's performance. Viral vectors are a piece of that puzzle that we take and use to supercharge our own ideas. For a precise definition, a viral vector is a word, phrase, descriptor, action, or person that generates interest and typically leads to an overperforming video. Two examples of creators that we've worked with who are using this approach are Mike Shake and Barry Lewis. In this video, Mike Shake used the viral vector katana, which was a keyword generating a massive amount of interest in the weapons niche, and also the viral vector transparent, which performs incredibly well across the platform as a whole. Another more niche-specific example is the viral vector air fryer in the cooking niche, used here by Barry Lewis to consistently produce a series of outliers for his channel. So I hope by now I've drummed into your head just how important good ideas are on YouTube, because without them you can pretty much kiss YouTube goodbye. But now let's talk about the dreadful, terrifying aspect of beating the YouTube algorithm, which is actually not so scary once you know what to focus on. First up is the marketing of your YouTube channel, your titles and thumbnails, of course. The good news is that this is heavily tied to the ideation research that we went through earlier. As you collect more and more outliers to model your own content from, you'll start noticing different styles of thumbnails across different niches. Your job at this point is to simply steal those thumbnail formats and remix them and use them for your own channel. Early on in your YouTube days, it's actually quite important to experiment a little bit to see what works, see what cold audiences respond to when it comes to your channel. So testing different styles of thumbnail for your channel is absolutely fine. Just bear in mind when something works, double down on it. Whether that thing that worked is like a title format that you could possibly turn into a series, or a thumbnail style that managed to hit that sweet click-through rate between 5 and 10%. The most important lesson to remember with thumbnails and titles is that they are pretty much one unit. You want to position the thumbnail to work with the title and vice versa to generate the most valuable emotional response from your viewer, curiosity. But this is the point where just everything can go wrong. So let's talk about what happens when people click, and that's the video itself. The only thing the YouTube algorithm wants is for people to stay on YouTube as a platform. So if your videos and your channel is managing to do that, you're gonna win. Sorry guys, I've got to give you some bad news though. Even after you've worked so hard coming up with a good idea, getting someone to click, most viewers will leave within the first 30 seconds of your video. The good news is I can tell you exactly what keeps them watching. And first up is viewer affirmation. If someone clicks on your thumbnail and title and is hit with something they're not expecting, they'll simply leave. What they need very early on in the video is a confirmation that what they've clicked on is exactly what they were expecting. So ideally you want to have a scene in the first 5 to 10 seconds of your video that matches the thumbnail or at least repeats the title in the hook or the introduction. If you take a look at this video, we actually did both. The second might seem a bit abstract to you, but leveling up your story skills is actually a superpower on YouTube. It's impossible to cover all the aspects of storytelling on YouTube in this video, but one of the best hacks for script writing is to create a back and forth beat within your writing with something called the but and therefore principle. What this basically enables you to do is to create more contrast in your writing, which is far more engaging for your viewer. An example of this would be, Dream just hit 3.2 billion views with only 122 videos. But he didn't just do that by playing Minecraft. The but sentence the but sentence. The but sentence creates something called a curiosity loop, which basically gets the viewer questioning about what's coming next and craving for the rest of the video. Now, everything I've spoken about in this section helps you get more watch time, fix your retention, get monetized, and you'll find that as you develop these skills, your audience will stick around for even longer, which will only help fuel your growth. And with all of this information that I've just provided you in the previous sections, if you literally just take all of that and apply it to your channel consistently, you'll be ahead of most people who are starting up a channel today. The difficult thing though is actually putting everything into practice. You see, YouTube is actually like trying to drive a car for the first time. When you're learning all of the controls, you can feel quite overwhelmed. You have to concentrate on several different things at once and nothing feels natural yet. A good driving instructor teaches you how to manage all of those different controls bit by bit. This stops you from crashing and never wanting to drive again. And crashing is unfortunately what most new YouTubers do. They simply don't have the correct expectations to maintain making content and set themselves up for success. So let's talk a little bit about how to actually level up your skills, which will stop you from crashing. Now, in terms of the order you should learn skills in, this video is actually a great template for the order that you should be focusing on. Things like ideas come right at the top. And the best approach is actually just focusing on like one skill at a time. You don't want to do everything perfectly from day one because that's impossible and you will just never make any videos. A great way to think about how to level up your channel is to ask yourself, what do I need to do to get my channel to a certain point? Say 1,000 views every single video, or 1,000 subscribers in total. Is your click-through rate low, meaning you should work on your titles and thumbnails? Does your retention suck? Maybe your storytelling needs to be improved on, or your editing needs to be upgraded. You may notice some other areas you need to improve on, such as your presentation skills, maybe the delivery of your script, some things like your studio setup, or the quality of your equipment. Some of those things will just come with time, whether that be saving up money or just putting the hours in for certain skills. There is one incredible shortcut that you can take to supercharge your growth, and that is to surround yourself with creators who are in the same position as you, same niche, start a group chat, and simply share valuable information with each other every single day. If, for example, say you have 4 other people doing the same as you every single day, you'll all be learning from your wins and your losses and be leveling up like 4 times faster than if you were doing this on your own. So that's everything we've learned from uploading over 7,000 videos on YouTube. But like I mentioned earlier, one super skill you need to level up is your storytelling skills. And if you'd like a storytelling masterclass and what that means on YouTube, you might want to click here.